Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lara. On my channel, I talk about all things makeup no-buy / makeup low-buy now because I have transitioned out of the no-buy. Project panning, decluttering, and curating my collection. I have my hair in a bun today, which I don't think I've ever done before, so I'm going to try to turn my head slightly so you can see that I am not bald and not a founding father. I'm not even American. I don't know why I said that. I feel like people use that joke so much. Also, the shirt I'm wearing, it says haters gonna hate. I'll show you the shirt a bit better. Can you see the little unicorn? I actually got this at like an Urban Outfitters in Boston a long time ago because Taylor Swift wore this shirt in a music award show performing one time. I've had it ever since. Okay, on with the video. So, I have been on a makeup no-buy for 2.5 years. Technically, I'm off it now, like I finished the 2.5 years. It went from January 2019 to June 2021. It is now July, but I haven't actually bought any makeup yet. I have got some skincare items, but haven't purchased any makeup yet. But for all intents and purposes, I'm considering that phase of my relationship to makeup over, and today I'm talking about what my no-buy has taught me. Now, I've discussed this in other ways before because I have learned a lot from my makeup no-buy. I've learned a lot about my preferences when it comes to makeup. I've learned a lot about the makeup industry. So you can watch some of my other videos if you are interested in that. But I'm trying to discuss today things that I haven't really touched on before. There's endless topics that I could discuss, but I'm just talking about 6 different things specifically today. Number 1, the first thing that I learned is that I don't need everything when it comes to makeup. I used to think that like literally the bigger my makeup collection was, the better, and there was no limit, and I needed everything in every color and every type of makeup. But I have learned that regardless of how much makeup I have, there's only a certain amount that I can realistically use, and I know what I like. So even if I had everything, I wouldn't actually use everything. Not just because it's not feasible to use a huge makeup collection, but also because I wouldn't reach for certain things that aren't suited to my tastes or my preferences. It might be helpful to actually see what I'm talking about. So here are some makeup items that I have and I never use. Glitter liner. I think there was actually a period in time when this was popular, and so I got quite a few different liquid liners. I used to have more than this, but I have since decluttered them. This is a silver. Somehow it still works, like it hasn't dried up, and this one is a gold. And I just don't use these. Oh, this one is kind of dried up. That might be a declutter soon. So that's one example. I have these because I thought that I needed them, and I never use them. Here's another example. These 2 liquid lipsticks. Just right off the bat, you can tell that these are pretty unrealistic colors. These are from NYX. One is in purple, one is in kind of like a bluish gray. I never reach for these. I thought that I needed every color of lipstick, every color of eyeshadow and eyeliner. I don't. I don't reach for those things, so I do not need to own absolutely everything when it comes to makeup. And I have only learned this because I've really worked on curating my makeup collection because of this no-buy. The second thing that I've learned is the value of trading platforms or just giving things away. I don't think that I had ever decluttered any of my makeup before this no-buy. I never finished any makeup because I was just continually bringing things in, and I didn't like giving things away, even if I didn't use them. My collection kept growing and growing and expanding because everything that was brought into it stayed there. But if you have watched any of my recent videos, you know that I declutter frequently. I don't just throw things into the garbage, but I give things away to friends and family, or post them on Buy Nothing groups on Facebook, or I use the app Buns, which is a trading platform. I had never done any of this before with my no-buy, and now I rely on these platforms. And I feel so much better passing on a makeup item than knowing that it's just sitting in my makeup collection. And it actually makes decluttering easier on me, knowing that someone else will get use out of an item. And I'm not great at decluttering. I still struggle with like getting rid of things, but if I thought that something was just going to go into the garbage, I would never end up decluttering anything. So knowing that someone else is going to get use out of something has made it a lot easier for me to actually part ways with makeup. And I've been asked this before, I've never regretted it. I've never regretted decluttering a makeup item, giving it to someone else, because you forget about it once it's gone from your collection. The next thing is realizing what a bad relationship with makeup I had prior to my no buy. And I didn't realize this before because I'd never been forced to critically think about the size of my makeup collection. And tied up with this, I've realized that I can still watch consumption-based content. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTubers who mainly do content around no-buys, collection curation, project panning, that kind of thing. But I still do watch people who, aren't part of that community and post a lot of hauls and have a lot of sponsorships and, are more of that like influencer salesperson kind of persona, especially the bigger channels. And I think maybe towards the beginning of my no buy, I thought that I couldn't watch this kind of content because I would just get sucked in and I would want to buy more and more and more. But because I now have a much better relationship with makeup, I realized that I can still consume this kind of content and enjoy it and not fall prey to the kind of marketing tactics that these videos employ, or YouTube and Instagram. And I don't necessarily want to buy the makeup in these videos. I still do actually love watching hauls, which may sound kind of weird and not like a good thing, but I think that it actually is a good thing because it signals that I have a much better relationship with makeup. It signals kind of freedom. Another thing that I have learned from this makeup no buy is more of a sense of objectivity when it comes to makeup, or at least a better understanding of the value / cost, depending on how you see it, of a makeup product. I have more of a separation between my desires when it comes to makeup, I guess, because I know that I need to factor more into the cost of a product than just the monetary amount that I am. What's the word? Do you know what I mean? So I not only think about how much I'm spending when purchasing a product, but I'm also thinking about how long I'll have it, how long it will actually be in my collection, if I will want it the entire time that I have it, or if I'll just be interested in it for sort of the first 6 months, if I will want to finish it, if I'll like it that much. And then also, on the other side of things, what it's made of, and if it will end up in a landfill. Is the person who made it being fairly compensated for it? There's all of these different factors that I never used to consider, and now when I have to think about all of these different aspects of the makeup, which they are all legitimate things that go into a product, I just didn't necessarily consider them before. It's not like they didn't exist. It's not like there wasn't someone who was creating the makeup, or like the product would just disappear when I didn't want it anymore. Like, it is always going to end up in a landfill or recycling or something. So when I factor all of that into my thought process in getting a product, I need to consider if it's worth it or not. And going on this makeup no buy, I guess what it all comes down to is this makeup no buy taught me to be a more conscious and critical consumer, and as a result I have had to grapple with all of these different aspects of makeup. The next thing that I realized as a result of this no buy is how many products I have in my collection that I have a negative relationship with. And I don't just mean negative relationship in that, like, I don't like them, but also in how I think about them. I do have a lot of guilt over a lot of products that I've purchased because I used to be an impulse shopper. So many of the things in my collection I didn't plan to purchase. I just bought because they were on sale or they looked fun. And as a result, the less time that I put into thinking about purchasing something, the less likely I am actually going to enjoy it in the long run. So I do have a lot of products that I just feel guilty about having purchased. I feel guilt over knowing that it was money badly spent, and also that they're just sitting in my collection for all this time and oftentimes have just expired. And I wish I didn't have these products. So I will give as an example some lip products. I feel like I'm always reaching for lip products as the go-to item because I used to buy just so many lip products. I think I was like going through a phase or something, and also lip products are something that are often on sale or relatively inexpensive. You know, you can find a lipstick for like $5 easily, whereas a foundation I don't think I was likely to randomly pick up because they're probably more expensive, and I feel like I'm less likely to enjoy a formula of a foundation than a lipstick. Anyways, some examples here. So these are two different hot pink lip liners. These are more corally, but they sort of show up on me as hot pink, and they are very similar colors. So this kind of thing, I just wouldn't factor in like the fact that I potentially already had similar colors in my collection, or that, you know, I didn't love pink lip colors. I would just purchase them because I wanted to, because it was fun. And most of the lives of these products, I have felt guilty or, not been happy that I own them. And that's not great. So there's a lot of products in my collection that I have a negative relationship with. Fewer now that I have spent a couple years decluttering and trying to use up makeup products, but there's still a couple items kicking around in my collection that I just wish I didn't have, and I still feel guilty about buying them in the first place. And the last point in this video, which I kind of think is the most interesting, is what I have learned about the beauty community as a whole and about YouTube specifically. And I think I mostly learned this because I create content myself. But what I've learned, and this is optimistic, is that people aren't just interested in hauls and shopping anymore. They aren't just interested in expanding their collection and getting new products all the time. There is, maybe it is, a subsection of the individuals who watch YouTube or the beauty space, but I do think that YouTube, or at least a significant portion of YouTube, has changed and people's mindsets have shifted. People have become more mindful, in all aspects of their life, especially as sustainability has really grown in the past few years. And I think that this is a direction that YouTube will continue to go down, sort of in the way that sustainability in fashion will continue to evolve and be more necessary. And I guess it's funny because the intersection of anti-consumerism and beauty guru doesn't really seem like those are two things that would mix well together, because being an influencer is kind of predicated on like selling people stuff. Like you're basically a glorified salesperson. And what we have been shown, at least at the beginning of YouTube and this evolution of the beauty community, is that influencer is all based on consuming, just consumption, right? Selling people stuff and consuming makeup and hair and skincare and whatnot. But I am optimistic that this is changing, especially if we've seen so many people transition over to, more mindful content and Project Pan content. So I am optimistic that this will improve, and the beauty community, I'm just really happy about the way that things are heading. I just finished filming the video and then realized that the last 7 minutes were not filmed because the memory card was full. So I'm going to try to regurgitate everything that I already said. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it is tricky to walk that fine line if you are an individual who believes in conscious or mindful consumerism, but then at the same time, as you grow, you will have affiliate links, you will have brand partnerships, and you essentially are encouraging consumerism, even if it is mindful consumerism. So it's a tricky line to walk. But I am optimistic, and I do think that the industry has changed, and I have certainly learned a lot from the individuals that I watch on YouTube. But yes, so that's going to be it for today's video. Now let's get on to what I've been reading lately. So we're back to nonfiction again. I was reading all fiction for a while there, but this is called The Revolution Will Not Be Funded: Beyond the Nonprofit Industrial Complex. So essentially, this book provides a critique of the not-for-profit system, as well as universities and academia, because these are all organizations that are state funded and so do have to answer to various mandates. It specifically discusses this because in political spaces that do tend to be more radical, you can't rattle the bars too much. Maybe that's not a good metaphor, but you know what I mean? You can't shake things up too much if you are answering to state funding, because these organizations and institutions do have to answer to their goals. And this is especially fascinating for me as someone who does work primarily in the not-for-profit sector, and I am starting my PhD in the fall, so thinking about academia and not-for-profit organizations in this way, it is very important to keep in mind when thinking about the work that we are doing, especially in social justice spaces. I would highly recommend, if that sounds of interest to you. I've barely started and I feel like I've already learned a lot from this, so this is going to be a great read. And we do have to keep in mind that even if these organizations do have a greater cause than just making money or making a profit, which is the goal of companies, not-for-profits and university institutions still do exist in the capitalist world. So having to keep that in mind. It's very important. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed. I have a podcast about film. You can check that out down below. Follow me on Instagram, and that's gonna be it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.